Bengals players also report that the showers have a hard time with hot water and the toilets do not consistently work. So there were multiple instances where NFL players' wives nursed their babies on the public bathroom floor.
Wow.
Bro, you are an NFL player. Mercedes put up $324 million. Only half the players think that the cafeteria is big enough.
The cafeteria is just a Mercedes-Benz car that they all sit in.
They make the taxpayers of Cincinnati pay $1 billion for their stadium, but they don't serve their NFL players any dinner.
Before this list, I would have guessed that most of these teams had private planes.
They do. The team buys it, they design it, and they still give these players coach seats. When players were asked about the number one thing they want to change, the answer was unanimous. Get rid of the rats!
Dr. Buster's here. He's the sidekick host this week.
Celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on.
It's a Buster episode, everyone. I know. I'm sorry. My New Year's resolution was to have less of these, but here we are.
If they were that dismayed, they just wouldn't be listening right now, so they wouldn't even hear it.
Well, it's like they want to hear me, so they tough it out, get through the Buster content to exist in the Nick world.
That is so true for so many things in life. What you'll endure to get to the cream at the center.
Yeah. Speaking of the cream at the center, I want to right up top give a shout out to our Tennis Pod Plus members who are listening to us right now, early before anyone else, and also ad-free. And members also just this past weekend heard the latest edition of the Bookbuster, which you can only hear on Tennis Pod Plus. And I also recently dropped the latest blooper reel featuring never before heard bloops and outtakes from the last month of episodes. I hope you'll become a member today with a free 7-day trial at tennispod.com/PLUS.
There were bloops, whoops, and poops, and they were all included.
And I can tell you that 98% of those came from the other half of today's episode host, sidekick host. That'd be you, Buster. It was you. You caused so many bloops and poops and boops.
And I was 98 degrees while we recorded it. Maybe. I tend to run 97.8, though.
I have one more plug before we get going. That is that in just a few weeks, our 250th episode will be here. We're doing it live and completely naked. Well, at least one of those things. Later this month, Wednesday night, February 21st, join us for a live stream of our landmark 250th episode. It will be streamed on YouTube. Wednesday night, February 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be joined by some of your favorite sidekick hosts, and we'll do a regular episode, but I'll also have live interaction stuff planned, and I'll be giving away prizes. You see the link in the show notes. You can go there, tap the bell to be reminded when we're about to go live, and you should also subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're there. You can also watch the full video version of this episode you're listening to right now on YouTube.
God damn, that's going to be the event of the year.
Buster, I'm all plugged out. I'm plugged up and plugged out. What do we do now?
Plugged up, plugged out. Get those outlet caps on. Keep the house baby-proof. We're done with them.
I don't even know what to do now that I'm done plugging. Like, what is the show anymore?
Well, I think that's the end of the episode.
All right, this has been episode 248 of Plugathon. Hope you'll join us next week where we'll plug your car
we'll plug you
running up.
And whichever way you request.
Save us today. What are we talking about?
Well, I just thought the Tennis Pod was coming on here and giving 10-ish advertisements for people to listen to. And then
all right, so we got two down. What do you want to advertise next?
My topic today, my list.
Okay, good choice.
That's what I think my next advertisement will be.
We're not going to do the list. We're just going to advertise it.
Right, yeah. I want to tease people. I want to be sultry and sensual, describing. And people just have to imagine who would have been on the top 10.
Just put your list in between your butt while you do a booty clap. And you'll get people all right.
Well, it would destroy it in about 3 seconds. There'd be nothing left of the list. Even if it were written on stone tablets, they'd be broken in half.
It'd be worth it. I put up a poll recently. I think I sent it to you today. I put up a poll, and it was a red pill versus blue pill. Did you see that?
I have not.
It's in your text. The red pill is you never have to work again. You receive $10 billion. You find your soulmate. You live until you're 100 with no health issues. You eat whatever you want with no consequences. Are you ready for the blue pill?
Sure.
That sounds pretty good, right? The red pill, like easy
That's pretty
choice
damn good.
So far.
I mean,
yeah. The blue pill. Watch 60 uninterrupted seconds of Dr. Buster's booty clap. That's it.
And what are the results so far?
100%. 100% blue pill. And I'm not exaggerating.
Well, people, they call it democracy for a reason, and the masses have spoken.
I've seen that booty clap. Buster almost took off in the air like he was propelled, but it's pretty damn good. I chose blue pill too. Damn.
You know,
Got to.
everyone's wondering what Congress is hinting about, the ways in which we're utilizing alien technology for our own military gain. It's really just my ability to booty clap, which causes levitation and can propel a ship of any size into the air.
Exactly right.
They're just trying to they're trying to replicate the exact physics of my ass cheeks, and they're just going to install those underneath every plane and flotation device
because it defies science. Really, like it's more powerful than any jet fuel or any other propulsion technology that we've found so far.
If we haven't lost any new listeners by this point in the episode,
we've lost them all.
So I guess we're only talking to the returning Tinnish pod fans at this point.
All 6 of them.
So Nick, apparently you work from home, right?
No. That's what I've told you for all these years, but no, I don't really work from home. I haven't had a job yet.
How would you rate your workplace conditions?
Well, jokes aside, I do work from home, and I consider my workplace conditions pretty damn good because just out of sight right now is a curled up kitty and a puppy sitting in the sun right now, and that's pretty damn good. That's the only coworkers I need.
You know, it would be kind of fun at an office, maybe not too large of an office, maybe 50 or less people, to have a couple of office kitties just walking around. It'd be fun.
I bet somewhere out there does that, and I agree. Fuck, that's like, you can dock $10,000 from my annual salary if I can just have that benefit.
You can dock me if you want.
Oh, baby. You mean again? We've already done that a few times today.
Every time we record. All right, so workplace conditions. Now, I'm going to tie this in with something that you may not have ever considered as a workplace condition, a certain profession. And it's a world that the Tinnish Pod hasn't covered for a while. And I wanted to pick a topic that the late and great Brandon, in his honor, a topic that he enjoyed and brought in episode 146. And he also brought this to the Tinnish Pod on episode 118. Now, I assume with your horrific memory, you don't know the episodes that I'm talking about.
Remind us.
Now, this list was inspired by a Freakonomics episode. Episode
we don't plug other podcasts. Sorry, I'm gonna beep that out. But go ahead. Which episode was it?
Episode 557. When is a superstar just another employee?
Okay.
So today we're gonna be talking about the NFL, and we're going to be talking about American football. And the list is the worst workplace conditions for NFL teams. I've got the top 10, and this is essentially the bottom 10, the worst 10 teams in the NFL for how their workplace conditions were rated. My sources today are the NFL Players Association report card, which is the official document they released, Wikipedia, and the Freakonomics episode, which inspired me.
You're going to have to tell me more about this. Yeah, like,
sure.
I don't understand it so far. Go ahead.
Wow, way to just interrupt me and take away my whole agenda here, Nick.
No,
what do you have to say for yourself?
That's non...
It's tennis.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I can see you just
Venus
waiting
and
patiently
Serena
for
Williams, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what the planets have to do with it, but sure. I'm sorry, please tell me.
Eventually we'll get onto a damn list in this podcast.
Buster, what are you having for dinner tonight?
During the last 2 years, the NFL Players Association Board of Representatives...
Seen any good movies? I've been wondering what to watch this weekend. Any good ideas? Any recommendations?
Has discussed ways to improve the information available to free agents making decisions about the prospective teams, and decided to pursue the development of an annual club report card that, while, and I like that they admit this, not a scientific survey, would report the quantitative and qualitative opinions of NFL players about their respective teams. In connection with that goal, questions were sent to every NFL player on the 2022 team roster, asking them their opinions about their team's facilities, club personnel, coaches, and other work-related categories. The questions called for both quantitative and qualitative answers so they could kind of describe what their issues and feedback were, but there's also numerical ratings on scales of 1 to 10. Those 8 categories were treatment of families, so the families of the players, food service and nutrition, the weight room, strength coaches, the training room, training staff, the locker room, and team travel.
What about the quality of concussions?
Well, I think that's probably just about equal across all the
Okay.
teams. Based upon all this information, the rankings were determined by comparing how each club was graded in each category and then averaging their overall scores.
These are what NFL players are saying, like, yeah, the weight room's great, or no, the weight room's worse than this other team I played on. Just like the facilities themselves, what it's like behind the scenes of being on an NFL team, good or bad.
Yeah, we're going to talk about food quality,
Okay.
how big the cafeteria is, the perks they get traveling or they don't, staying in hotel rooms. We're going to talk about some really unfortunate things with their families. Just think about like, and what's so interesting about this episode and what landed me on this list is many of us, we either like football, we don't, we watch it occasionally, but many of us have never thought what it's like to be an employee of an NFL team, the day in, the day out, what's their lived experience of an employee, because there's so much more than just game day. I mean, this is 7 days a week throughout the season.
But before, just a message, before we get going and before any of us try to feel too bad about any of this, just remember that even the lowest paid member of an NFL team, I don't know what it is, but it's in the hundreds of thousands.
500,000 is the minimum current player salary, I think. Something in that neighborhood.
Just keep it in mind.
No, I'd say today is not about empathizing and feeling bad for the NFL players themselves, but more we're probably going to be shaking our heads and kind of scoffing at the financial laziness and inconsiderate nature of these billionaire NFL owners, the simple things that they could provide their players, and they choose not to.
Well, you know we love shitting on billionaires here.
And some really interesting, like, behind-the-scenes financial information about some of the stadiums. And it just, as Freakonomics has really made me appreciate, most things in life are more interesting than we take them to be. We take so many things for granted and just assume that they're kind of boring. But when you get into the weeds, it's just really fascinating.
That's kind of the whole premise of this show, too. Like, so much of the shit we cover on this show, like, who gives a shit? At the surface level, who gives a shit what, like, I don't know, pick a recent tennis podcast list. Who gives a shit on the surface? But when you dive in, it's interesting. So, yeah, I'm here for that.
You're right. Well, the list that your sidekick hosts bring, not yours.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Now, Nick is probably the biggest football fan I know. I mean, God, he watches every single game. He watches them 2-3 times throughout the week. No one knows.
I love the Cleveland Cavaliers. I love the Atlanta Braves. Some of my favorite teams.
No one knows the NFL inside and out better than Nick Amell. So I can't wait for him to try to guess this list.
I think I've said this on the show before because Brandon, my original full-time sidekick host, he did bring me some NFL lists. And although I don't watch the NFL and I don't give a shit really about the on-screen NFL happenings, I do kind of keep up to speed on the stats behind the NFL, as weird as that might sound. So like I do know like the standings roughly for this season, stuff like that. So
what do you think motivates you to do that? Do you just like being in the know a bit?
I'm just a data nerd. I do that for a lot of shit. Like before Tennis Podcast was a thing, which is going on 5.5 years now.
5.5 decades? Yeah, it's been a while.
5.5, right. Before it was a thing, I was looking up this shit on my own free will. I was going to Wikipedia and looking up the largest cities or the NFL teams with the most Super Bowl wins, even though I don't watch the NFL. So I'm just a fucking weirdo. That's all.
Sure, you're just a guy who's interested in data.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes. So I'll try to give you clues today to guess these different teams that won't be outright obvious. Like football fans might spot them right away, but I'm going to try to give you some breadcrumbs and not just outright give it to you.
Okay, well, instead of breadcrumbs, don't you think it'd be more helpful to give me hints and guidance? I mean, I've already had lunch.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I wish I could tell you some general trend. Like, the worst teams tend to have the worst workplace conditions. That's not true. And I wish I could tell you that it's the best teams. Like, if you're a Super Bowl champ, then there's no need to take care of your players because everybody wants to be on your team anyway. That's also not true.
So is it kind of just random?
Across these worst 10, it's kind of a random collection.
Let me ask you one thing, and then we can get started. Is there any bearing on geographic location? Like, does that have anything to do with this, or is it still completely random, you think?
No. Nothing about geographic location wouldn't help you predict, although two of them have something in common, and that's kind of a big hint if you're familiar with construction of NFL stadiums right now.
Well, for example, no one in their fucking right mind in the history of the world wants to live in Wisconsin. Like people just get stuck there. So like I could see Green Bay Packers being low on this list. But
Is that your first guess?
sure, let's do the Green Bay Packers.
They are not on the worst 10. In fact, they're number 6 for the best. They're near the best teams.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so you should tell me who the top 10 best teams too when we're done.
I will.
All right, well, if this is random, let me just give you a guess.
I can start giving you hints if you'd like.
How about, you know what I would like? You shutting the fuck up so I could get a guess out. That's what I would like. Is that okay? Or should we just sit here and listen to you some more?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do well, when this episode releases, Super Bowl will be in our rearview mirror. So we'll actually know who won the Super Bowl by the time this airs. As of today, it's still playoff season. We don't know who won the Super Bowl. But I'm going to give a guess for a team that's doing well in the playoffs, or at least made it to the playoffs, and that's the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins are not in this list.
Okay, I'm going to stick in playoff land for a little while.
Okay.
Let's do the Cleveland
Dolphins
Browns.
are number 2 for the best. They're near the tippy top for
Interesting,
because
they were such a shitty team for so long. You'd think there'd be a correlation there, but like you said, there's not really.
Sure. Think about this. Think about companies that exist all around the world. They're not breaking headlines. They're not in the Fortune 500. They're not on the S&P 500. But everyone who works there loves their job. They love their boss. They love the workplace culture. So they're not mavericks. They're not breaking any boundaries, pushing the envelope. But everyone there really loves it. And so that's the good story of a team we won't be talking about. Or that's a good example of a team that won't be on this list, whether or not they're Super Bowl champs. People like coming to work.
I wonder what that's like. Plus, who doesn't want to be a Dolphin? Like, if you could be a Dolphin, just name alone, I mean. If you could be a Dolphin or a Brown, like, who would choose the Brown over the Dolphin, right?
Yeah.
How about the Browns?
Browns are not on the list.
Fuck off. How about, okay, we're talking about rich billionaires that everybody hates. How about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys?
Cowboys not on the list either. They're in the middle. Why don't we start with some hints here?
Okay.
Do you happen to know the team that Tom Brady went to after he left the New England Patriots?
The Buccaneers, Tampa Bay.
Where do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall on the list?
Well, they won't be number 1, so say 7. I got it. I still got it, bub. You think you can bring your bullshit list on a topic?
Shit. I can't believe. I cannot believe that.
You thought you were going to stump me with an NFL list because Nick doesn't know anything about fucking
I'm
NFL.
Done. I can't.
And I come here and I guess it on the money.
You had a fucking,
you know why? Because it's God's number.
Chance. That's God's number. That's right. This is God's house.
Mm-hmm. All right, the Bucks.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in at number 7. So Raymond James Stadium is a multi-purpose stadium in Tampa, Florida. Opened in 1998, home to the Buccaneers and the South Florida Bulls college football program. So listen to this. The Raymond James Stadium was built at public expense as a replacement for Tampa Stadium and is known for the replica pirate ship located behind the seating area and in the north end zone. Raymond James Financial, a financial service firm headquartered in the area, has held the naming rights for the stadium for the stadium's entire existence. So it's just a financial. Raymond James, not a coach, not a legacy player, just your local money mongers. Now,
that's probably true for most stadiums, I would guess.
Now, imagine living in Tampa, not liking football, maybe even actively despising it, and this happens. In early 1996, the city of Tampa proposed the establishment of a quote-unquote community investment tax, which would be a 30-year sales tax that would pay for the new stadium for the Buccaneers. The tax increase would have been approved in a public referendum. However, the previous mayor sued the proposal and said that it was unconstitutional in Florida because it violated the public taxpayers' rights to support a privately owned program. However, the mayor's lawsuit was rejected and plans for the referendum going to vote were allowed to proceed. Public opinion polls indicated that most people in the area were going to vote yes. They wanted to pay extra tax to buy a new stadium for the Buccaneers. However, opponents to this bill launched a media blitz of television and radio trying to get the referendum to fail. But on September 3rd, 1996, the ballot passed by a margin of 3%. It was a close vote. And because of that, the Buccaneers Stadium was paid by a local referendum sales tax, and that is still going on to this day.
Do you know what the total price tag is on the stadium? That's fine. Maybe do your research next time you bring a list. It's kind of the whole thing. But listen, and I promise I won't do a whole sidebar on this, but just for a moment. The irony of a super red state like Florida, and I know this is almost 30 years ago, but the irony of a red state like Florida supporting what is essentially a socialist idea, right? We're going to spend extra money on taxes to fund this thing, whether or not the majority or not, whether or not, almost half the state supports it, or the city, I should say, not the state. Yeah. Almost half the city supports it. And all these Republicans, and I'm sure Democrats too back then, are okay with that, but don't even bring up socialist healthcare or anything like that. So kind of ironic.
It is, yeah, for something that remained a private good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after the stadium is paid for and the profits still keep coming in, it's not like the people of Tampa get any kickbacks.
No.
That's going directly to the owner.
Yep.
So why are the Buccaneers on this list? They don't offer any childcare and no place for families to gather, unlike most NFL teams. So your husband plays in the NFL.
Such a simple thing. Yeah.
You got 3 kids with you on game day. Tough shit. You don't have anywhere to go. Isn't that brutal?
They broke out probably, I don't know what it was, but I'm guessing like $250 million or something to bring in Tom Brady for 2 seasons. And they can't spend whatever minuscule percentage of that would be to fund like daycare and family facilities. It's bullshit.
Yeah, we want our players to be there working out, getting good nutrition, but fuck them, we're not going to offer childcare, so guess they're going to have to figure that out on their own. Like,
yeah,
it's in their budget to have a large space in the stadium where they could have childcare. It's so easy, but they just choose not to. Players on the Buccaneers feel that their locker room is too small and it's outdated, and their travel policies are uncomfortable. They are one of 6 teams that make certain players have roommates. I mean, we're talking millionaires. And they have to share a roommate in a hotel on away games. And they're one of 7 teams that do not offer any first-class seats to their players. So they're flying coach.
Even Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I guarantee you that guy's flying.
Well, Tom Brady probably had his own private jet.
That's bullshit. I cannot believe that you could be on an NFL team, even the lowest member of an NFL team, and you have to fly coach. I mean, no offense. I mean, we all fly coach. I get it. I'm not saying they're better than us, but like you would just expect that would be baked into the benefits package for an NFL team. But
yeah,
what do I know?
Speaking of baked in, Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in at 25th out of 32 teams for their quality of food. People said the food sucked.
Okay.
That they all get fed while they're expected to be there. It's crazy.
So it sounds like it sucks to be a Buck. We know you like to listen to Tennis Podcast, but now it's time to wear it. Tennispod.com/merch has all of your merch needs. We have new designs that let the world know you're a sidekick host, or that your loved one should just go ahead and unsubscribe. All these and more are available to wear on your tight little body right now. We also have designs for the licking machine, your body elves, and many others. We even have one that proves you have one hell of an ass. We have shirts available for all sexes and multiple colors available, as well as mugs, hoodies, and hats. And to help you get started, I have a special discount for you. Use promo code BUTT for 10% off your next order. That's promo code BUTT at tennispod.com/MERCH. Don't be a butt. Shop now.
We're going to talk about so much on this list, but all the things they could spend money on, all the things that they could be considerate about, they skip some of the most obvious things.
Yeah.
Let your players have their own hotel room.
And people have complained over the years, and it just goes on deaf ears. I wonder if the Tom Bradys of the world, those like star quarterbacks or whoever on these teams, if they went and complained to the owner and said, hey, some of the boys have been talking, we really need daycare. But Tom Brady don't give a fuck. He's got it all covered, right? He's not worrying about travel or daycare.
Tom Brady has like 5 personal nannies that are taking care of every beck and call of his entire family and extended family for that matter. So he doesn't care about that.
Yeah, but I think it would take something like that for the owner to even listen.
We're talking about the snap holder, the kicker, the free safeties, the corners on the defense. These are the folks who are really probably pitching in this survey and giving their 2 cents. All right, next guess.
Since this is all just random, I'm just going to pick out random teams here. The Seattle
How about I just give you
Seahawks.
some hints? That way you don't have to
Okay.
randomly guess.
All right.
These two teams that are on the list, they share a stadium.
That's New York, I'm guessing.
So there's New York, used to be the only one, but now there is a second pair of teams that share a stadium. Their practice facilities are not finished yet.
Is it LA?
It is Los Angeles. So which team would you like to go with first?
We got the Chargers and the Rams. I'll go Rams.
Rams, what number on the list?
All right, I'm going to blow your mind.
Big shot.
5.
8.
Damn, almost said 8.
SoFi Stadium is a multi-use stadium in a Los Angeles suburb of Inglewood, California, only 3 miles from LAX. The stadium itself opened in September 2020. The fixed-roof stadium is home to the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, as well as the LA Bowl and college football each year. It's, like we said, it's one of the only stadiums to host 2 teams. The other one is in New York for the Giants and the Jets. Neither the Giants or the Jets are on today's list. Above the stadium is an independently supported translucent canopy which covers the entire stadium and the attached plaza. The million-square-foot canopy is made up of 302 individual LED panels, which can be opened up to provide ventilation, or they can display a light show on top, which can be seen from flights coming in to LAX.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that wild?
But it also goes to show they did not spare any expense on this stadium. But
Yeah.
yet they're still in the top 10 on this list.
Yeah, right. They did that, but we'll get to some things that they don't do. Something of note for both the Rams and the Chargers on this list is that they are operating out of a temporary facility because their permanent home hasn't been finished being built yet. So players expect to be working out of the current building for the foreseeable future, possibly 4 to 5 more seasons. So despite this being a temporary facility, they still feel like they should be better taken care of. Yeah.
I was just looking because I was thinking about it. And the timing of you bringing this list could not be more perfect. I said earlier that the Super Bowl will have already happened. I was actually wrong. This comes out the Wednesday before the Super Bowl. So as people are listening, the Super Bowl is this weekend, and you happen to bring an NFL list. That's
How about
destiny,
it, Bob?
I think. How about it? All right. I'm sorry.
I think that's because I'm on fire as a sidekick host.
Okay. Hang on. Don't go yet. Give everyone a minute to laugh at that.
Sure.
People are still laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Yeah.
No, there's still quite a few laughing. Okay.
Sure. We're just going to keep going.
Let's just keep going. Yeah.
One of the key things that brought the Rams on this list of having poor working conditions is that 95% of them feel like the owner, Stan Kroenke, is not willing to spend money to upgrade their facilities. So they feel like their treatment in this temporary facility is sort of inconsiderate in the big picture. But the hope is that a future willingness to invest translates into an even better building that will eventually house them.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, or maybe I do, but the thing is that NFL players, you would expect, especially on the outside like us, you would expect that they have world-class everything from beginning to end.
Right.
So it's kind of eye-opening to see that, like, even basic shit, some of these teams are denied.
It's a good reminder. You know, when I was younger, when people say money can't buy happiness, I'd always scoff at that. My sarcastic remark would be, well, they just don't know what to buy. But it is kind of like a strange, humbling thing to remember that regardless of how wealthy you are, if people aren't good stewards of their own mind and their own emotional reactions, so many super wealthy people are actually just as happy as you and I, if not more, or less happy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're millionaires. They play for the NFL, but they're still, some of them are miserable with their day-to-day workplace.
Yeah, I know I am.
Now, they offer family room and daycare, but they rank near the list for family care because the Rams player said there was an intense lack of communication. I'm not really sure what that means. I guess families and like childcare is just left out, hanging out in the dark. They don't really know what's going on. Only a quarter of the players think that the cafeteria is big enough.
So in reality, they're like sitting like four huge NFL players are sharing one little chair at like a kiddie table in the cafeteria.
They're saying that they can't even sit down. They feel like it's not big enough.
But how much of this, you know, to go on the flip side of all the shit we've been saying about how the owners are cheap and they're denying basic rights and all that, not rights, but basic expectations. On the flip side, we should at least mention that some of these players could be prima donnas, I'm an
That's
NFL
true.
player. I deserve the best. So there's two sides to it. But I think I'd still err toward the owners. Or, if there's a billionaire in this scenario, then that's the asshole, right?
Right. Well, I just think if the NFL was filled with prima donnas, all the teams would come in at about the same rating, but they're not. There's like drastic differences, and we'll talk about the very best team on the list. And when you compare the description I have from their player survey report card, it's night and day versus the things we're talking about right now. And that team's not even that good. The team that has the best working conditions. It's funny.
I'm curious, but all right, we'll get there.
And the last thing, so players do have their own rooms while they travel, but 60% of the Rams players feel like they do not get enough space in their seats during travel and flight.
Are they coached? Does it say?
Doesn't say.
Well, let's keep in mind NFL players are typically large men.
Large men. So you mentioned the other team that shares that stadium would be?
Oh, they're on here too, huh? The Chargers. Let's say the Chargers are, I'll say 10.
3.
Knew it.
The Chargers are pretty bad. So keep in mind, listener, they're dealing with the same temporary facility as the Rams. Even with that, keeping in mind, it could be 5-6 years during construction, so they still want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
They had positive feedback for their head coach. Unfortunately, that head coach got fired after this season, so he's out of here with their
fuck 'em.
With their losses. However, there are great deficiencies noted with the training room, cafeteria, locker room. They all graded poorly. The maintenance for the hot and cold tubs is lacking, with many players calling them quote-unquote gross.
It's funny that this level of detail makes it into these reports.
They can't even clean their tubs.
The tub is gross, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Well, I'll tell you what you do. Send the kicker. He's the least important one on the team. We all know it. Send his ass to go clean the tubs.
Attach 2 bleach scrubbing things to each of his feet and just have him kick all around the tubs.
That's the best idea you've said.
That'll be the cleanest tub you've ever laid your eyes on.
No, he's not doing anything like 90% of the year anyway. Just have him do that. If you're an NFL kicker, just fucking unsubscribe.
Do it. About half the Chargers feel like the owner, Dean Spanos, will be willing to upgrade their facilities once they get to their new home. They do offer daycare on game day, however, only on game day, not on practice days, which I think is shitty. Yeah, and they do not offer a family room at the stadium. So you got kids, cousins, wife there. Don't matter. They're just out with the regular crowd.
With the peons.
After the results of this survey, the feedback about their head physical and fitness trainer was so bad they fired him, and the person is unnamed on the report card. And many of the Chargers players feel like there's a lack of privacy in the showers in the locker room. There's a limited number of showers, causing players to wait a very long time.
Well, they just shower together. They're going to room together, probably. Shower together.
My last note for the Chargers: many players report they travel on the same plane as all of their equipment, so the players sometimes wait at up to 2 hours for the equipment to load before they can leave.
Oof, yikes.
Can you imagine? Now, are we talking first world problems? Yes, listen.
Yes, of course.
They have all the privileges.
We should keep that in mind.
Of talking about having a 2-hour wait for a flight. Boo-hoo, right? Like, they're still super privileged, whatever. It's just wealthy. Funny to think about all, like, the small oversight things that some teams commit, but the other ones don't. Nobody else said that.
Yeah, and imagine, like, not only are you a shitty NFL team that, like, has sucked for generations, but now your tubs aren't even clean, and your
my tubs
food
aren't
sucks.
Clean. I got to shower with 3 of my teammates every time. I'm waiting 2 hours to get on the plane.
That's a perk.
So
how's the food? Did you say?
No comment on the food, so it must be decent food.
All right. Where do you want to head next?
I mentioned Tom Brady before.
The Pats, the Patriots.
The Patriots.
Number 6.
9. Damn she fine. Why don't you sock it to me one more time?
Stop it, goddammit.
The Patriots play in Gillette Stadium, a multi-purpose stadium located in the town of Foxborough, Massachusetts, which is 22 miles southwest of Boston and 18 miles northeast of Providence, Rhode Island. It serves as the home stadium and admin offices for both the New England Patriots and the New England Revolution, which is a Major League Soccer team. It opened in 2002. Not many notes on the Patriots compared to other teams, and if I were to speculate why, I think under Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, a lot of the Patriots players were terrified to fill out the survey. So I think they probably didn't fill this shit out, and they're like, I don't want to be fired mid-season, so I'm not filling this out.
Yeah. Well, that could be true for a lot of these teams, you know? Who knows how honest some of these surveys are.
So Patriots, right? Super Bowl champion so many times, dynasty in the last 20 years. They do not offer any daycare at any time at the stadium. They do not offer a family room for anyone to congregate. They do not offer a post-game gathering area. A lot of stadiums will have that for friends and family of the team. Not the Patriots. The cafeteria, 60% of them say that the cafeteria is too small. And the main complaint about the locker room is that it's too tiny and they all feel like they're on top of one another.
Has anyone ever complained that the locker room or the cafeteria is too big? It's too big in here. No one's ever said that?
I feel lonely. I can't even have a conversation.
I got to yell across the damn room to talk to my bud.
The Patriots have no roommates, but in travel, they have standard coach seats. So players complained about the space.
I'm surprised. Honestly, I would have, before this list, I would have guessed that most of these teams had private planes for all the intercity travel.
So they do. Like, these are all on team planes, which that's the funny thing. The team buys it, they design it, and they still give these players coach seats.
And they have no first class on it. It's just all coach.
Isn't that a slap
They don't
in the
have
face?
seats. They just strap them in with the luggage because these players are just assets to the ownership.
We're going to talk about a stadium in here that cost over $1 billion, and they couldn't put extra wide seats for my NFL-sized ass on our private plane. You know, like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just a mismanage of priorities, I think.
Like the average NFL player's got a big old ass. He needs a wide seat, and they're sticking him in coach when they don't have to be in coach. That's
right.
Fucked.
Anyway, that's
All
the
right.
Patriots. They didn't share anything else because they probably feared retribution. Speaking of fearing retribution, there's another team on this list who specifically called out all of their coaching staff because they feel like they do not work for a, quote, welcoming environment. Now, their head coach is Andy Reid. Is that too big of a hint?
That's too little of a hint. I don't know who that is.
Do you know the divisions? Would it be too much of a hint if I told you they're in the AFC West?
AFC West.
Along with the Broncos, Raiders, and the Chargers.
Along with the Broncos, Raiders, and the Chargers. So on the West, we got Seattle. We might have the Vikings.
They are
Arizona Cardinals.
They are incredibly successful lately. And for one unusual reason, they've had a very large media coverage this season.
Is it Lions?
No. Because a certain celebrity is now affiliated with the team.
The Chiefs? The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Interesting.
Kansas City Chiefs.
I would have predicted them near the top of the good list, but here they are. Number 5.
4. Close.
Knew it.
So just a reminder for everyone listening, number 4 means that they are the 4th worst NFL team for workplace conditions. Arrowhead Stadium is a football stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. It's the home venue for the Chiefs. The stadium is officially named GEHA Field. Boy, that just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? GEHA. It's not GEHA either. It's pronounced GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium since March of 2021, following a naming rights deal between GEHA and the Chiefs. That extends for...
Who is GEHA? What is that?
Good freaking question. Probably like some money investment firm based out of Kansas City, would be my guess.
Probably. Let's see. Keep going.
Arrowhead Stadium is going to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's pretty neat. And has hosted many other college football games in recent years.
GEHA is an insurance company. So thank God.
Insurance.
We got a company with morals and values that we can all appreciate.
They serve the little man, the people who are down and out on their luck.
Maybe.
In general, Chiefs players respond that the facility feels outdated and players would like to see upgrades all across the board. Only half of the Chiefs players feel like the club owner, Clark Hunt, is willing to invest money to upgrade the facility.
That's what Clark Hunt hears when all these players are griping. He tells them to call the whambulance.
They offer a family room, but the Chiefs do not offer daycare. For the training staff and some of the physical fitness coaches, this is where players called for a, quote, more welcoming environment. It had the lowest rating for the morale of the locker room for their training staff, and they had very concerning responses. And the survey revealed that many players' concerns centered around head trainer Rick Burkholder. So this guy is apparently like an evil asshole dude. To my knowledge, still works for the Chiefs. Players felt like they were discouraged from reporting their injuries. They felt like they don't get any level of personal care that they should if they get injured and during their recovery. And if they speak up for better personalized care, they fear retribution.
What's this guy's name?
That's wild. Rick Burkholder.
I don't know how you keep your job after that, but
like the Chiefs, you know, Super Bowl winners last year, and this is how they feel, and their own home staff. Like, that's wild.
But see, this is the thing where it's like the Patrick Mahomes of the world are getting the world-class care. I guarantee it. You know, Patrick Mahomes isn't getting the substandard care.
It's a 53-man roster, you know. Like, there's so many people besides Patrick Mahomes.
Right. That's my point.
And
is like
that's who they should be taking care of everyone.
They're going to prioritize their star players, for better or for worse.
Chiefs players complain that they only can sit on a stool in the locker room. There's not even a chair. And they make young players or players new to the team have roommates during travel.
I mean, I'm sure they could upgrade their own room if they wanted. I mean, it should still be provided, but I'm sure they're not forced to share. I guess it gets into a debate
of what's the responsibility of your employer and what's the responsibility of yourself if you make $800,000 a year.
Do a quick recap of where we are so far.
I won't. I refuse.
Okay.
Hostile workplace condition. I don't feel like I'm respected. I can't.
Have you filled out that damn survey? You better not have.
All right, number 9, we got the Patriots. 8, Rams. 7, Buccaneers. 4, Chiefs. 3, Chargers. You're missing 10, 6, 5, 2, and 1. Only one of the remaining teams made the playoffs this year.
Okay. Lions, probably.
Lions are not here. Let's go with a team. What team would you suspect has a problem with having rats in the stadium?
That definitely sounds like a Panthers problem, because kitties love to chase rats. Is it the Panthers?
It's south of the Panthers.
Jacksonville, the Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars coming in at number...
They are another kitty, though, so I was close.
They are.
I'll say 6.
Mew Mew, chasing the rats around at number 5. When players were asked about the number one thing they want to change, the answer was unanimous. Get rid of the rats! Exclamation point. Players reported that for 4 weeks this season, there was a rat infestation in the locker room and in the laundry rooms. The second issue was players feeling that the team could take better care of the players' families. They do not offer a family room. They do not offer childcare. So there were multiple instances where NFL players' wives nursed their babies on the public bathroom floor.
Wow.
Bro, you are an NFL player, and your employer's making your wife sit on the bathroom floor with all the fans to breastfeed her baby?
I mean,
like,
I don't want to give benefit of the doubt to asshole billionaire owners, but surely there was somewhere else she could have done that, right?
You know, all you got to do is sacrifice one suite per game and just have families who need a nurse can go up and use that room. Boom. Solution solved. Just
here's what you do. Have the baby nurse on the daddy's boobie in the daddy's locker room. They have a locker room.
During the game. Get the baby in the game.
What you do is you strap the baby to the daddy's boobie, and then you put a big helmet around the baby on his chest while he's playing. We just got to find a way to get milk out of there. That's all.
I could have a bottle attached to you.
Sure. That'd be better than the floor of the public bathroom. Can you imagine the bathroom of the Jacksonville Stadium? Oh, God.
During their September
Fuck you,
games?
Jacksonville. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Love
first game of the season. That's probably not a great experience. Everbank Stadium is a football stadium located in Jacksonville, Florida. It's in downtown. The facility was renamed Everbank Field in 2010 following the approval of a 5-year naming rights deal with the financial services company Everbank. However, Everbank was bought out by TIAA Bank, forcing the stadium in Jacksonville to be renamed TIAA, although That
God,
was
this is so interesting. I love the
well. Just hold on,
battles between
I'm getting to a point
financial
that
institutions.
gets bought out again. Back, I guess they bought their independence. I'm not sure exactly, but somehow in June of this year, or of last year, 2023, Jaguars announced the home stadium would be renamed back to Everbank Stadium.
I mean, Everbank definitely flows off the tongue better than
But still,
TIAAAAA.
so
Yeah.
my point here is like how disconnected from your football team all of this stadium naming is. When it's after just these financial institutions, there's some smattering of letters, and you don't even have control over what it's actually named because the company who bought the naming rights could just be bought or sold tomorrow, and then the stadium's named after some shit you don't even know about.
I want like a sex toy manufacturer to buy one of these
Right?
stadiums.
Yeah, Adam and Eve Stadium,
Or Pornhub.
Pornhub Stadium.
Pornhub Stadium in Jacksonville.
Now, home of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I guarantee you a Pornhub Stadium would have a nursing room for their players' moms.
They'd have a lot of rooms for a lot of things.
Oh, baby. All right.
So that's Jacksonville.
Anything else that's considered in the South?
Yes, one that's very, very close. Just a little bit north.
So Atlanta. You said no to Atlanta?
Atlanta Falcons coming in
10.
at number 10.
Knew it.
The Falcons.
That's a team like I always forget even exists.
Yeah, which is crazy because it is one of the most, it might be the expensive stadium. It costs $1.6 billion to build.
Damn.
Now, listener, if you have the capacity, and Nick, go ahead and do this as well, you should Google real quick, Google image Atlanta Falcons Stadium. Just aesthetically, it's pretty wild. It's a really cool looking stadium, and I'm not justifying spending $1.6 billion on it, but it's a crazy looking facility, both inside and out.
Yeah, it really is. I'll put a link in the show notes to an image of the stadium, but this shot above the stadium outside is pretty wild.
Yeah, the signature feature is its retractable roof, which features a pinwheel that consists of 8 translucent triangular panels. Each of the 8 panels operates on 2 rails. Closing the roof takes a little bit less time than opening it, but the panels are designed to create the illusion of a bird's wing extending and retracting to be modeled after the Falcons.
It's wild.
So, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is what it's called,
yeah,
it was named that
because of Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah, but here's an interesting thing. The Mercedes-Benz CEO at the time, Steve Cannon, was a governing member of a local financial group, AMB, and the Atlanta Falcons. So he's like double dipping. He's part of the Atlanta Falcons. He's also the CEO of Mercedes-Benz. So it's not an inside job necessarily. They already knew. They had like good relations. So Mercedes-Benz. And if you look at the picture of the stadium, unlike other stadiums, they might be called something and the logo isn't very prominent on the stadium because a lot of these naming rights we've talked about today may only last 5-10 years. So you're not going to slap their information all over it. Mercedes is bought into that stadium. I mean, it's massive and it's like ingrained in the side.
And the top.
So Mercedes put up $324 million. So 1/6 of the budget in order to get those naming rights. So I think that's a forever deal.
That's a hell of an investment. But it's like pretty much as good of marketing and advertising as you can get for a brand. Besides, if we were to tattoo their logo on your ass while you were booty clapping, that might be better. But next to that, this is pretty good.
So just a reminder, listener, we're talking about workplace conditions, not limited to physical facilities. I talked about how beautiful the stadium is. You're like, why are the Falcons on this list? Well, overall, they liked their facilities, but the strength and training coaches are ranked the second worst in the NFL. The players do not feel like they get any individualized plans. They do not feel supported in injuries or typical workout plans and routines.
I don't know how players can complain so much about individual people on the training staff, and those people on the training staff can remain. Like, if everyone hates them, what are they still doing there?
Before this type of report card, I bet you could go years, decades without people even knowing there was a problem.
For sure.
Because think about, like, you're not the Patrick Mahomes. You're not the Josh Allen. You're not the Tom Brady. You're maybe a second string player on a team. you're going to put up with all kinds of bullshit just to keep your job.
Yeah.
But this anonymous survey is a way for them to finally feel like they can speak out and say things without punishment.
Yeah, you're right. And so it's good that this is there. But hopefully the owners and whoever makes the decisions on stuff like this, because it's not just the owner. I mean, there's other people under the owner. Hopefully the people that make these decisions can see these report cards and be like, all right, we should probably make some changes here so we're not on this report card again the next year.
Yeah, that's the hope, is that some of the clubs cinch up, they tighten up their act based on this information. Now, we talked about the facilities being beautiful. However, only half the players think that the cafeteria is big enough. And because of this, many players get their food and they go and eat it at their locker instead.
The cafeteria is just a Mercedes-Benz car that they all sit in.
And the CEO is like, what, you ungrateful swine? You're not,
Exactly.
You don't want to eat in this $500,000 car? Like,
Meanwhile,
I thought we spared no expense for you.
The owner is sitting in a cafeteria by himself, and the cafeteria is the size of, like, the field.
Yeah.
It's still one big, giant Mercedes-Benz car, though.
It's a stadium-sized cafeteria. And he's like, damn, this is nice.
I don't have to talk to anyone that makes less than $10 billion. This is great.
Listener, they call me Dr. Buster for a reason. It's because I have a PhD in both podcasting and in psychology and in whooping Nick's ass up and down every 10-ish list. I love to read books dealing with psychology. It's part of my profession and keeping up with the cutting edge in the field. That's why I've launched a new mini podcast called The Book Buster. That podcast is where I provide quick reviews of the latest psychology and self-help books, just like The Moral Landscape by Sam Harris or Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke. Each episode provides a review in less than 10 minutes, and I share what I'll be checking out next so that you, listener, can get involved and read that book and experience it before I cover it on the next episode. I hope you'll check it out, and who knows, you might just find your next great read. The Book Buster releases on the third Friday of every month exclusively for 10ish Pod Plus members. Go to 10ish Pod, that's 10ishpod.com/plus to get a free 7-day trial. They told me there was nothing free in this life. They were lying. All right, so we're leaving the South, but we are going to stick with a big old kitty cat. It's the only big kitty cat I think you haven't guessed yet.
So we've done I've guessed, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Panthers.
They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but they did not
Bengals.
win. Coming in
The
at number 6.
Cincinnati Bengals, number 6. Just call them the Tigers. It's such a better name than Bengal. A while ago, we did a top 10 mascots, like sports mascots episode.
I think that's a very fun episode.
Disagree, but it was there. And we talked a lot about how names like the Cincinnati Bengals, like there's no like tie-in to the locale, right? It's just a random animal they chose. Right. So anyway.
Yeah, there's no tigers in Cincinnati that I'm aware of.
At the zoo, bud.
But that's the thing that kills me about these stadium names and why I cover like the boring flip-flopping financial naming rights is it's so like, I don't know, it's just kind of gross to me. It's so corporate and disconnected from the spirit of the football team.
If they can monetize the name of the stadium, they're going to do it. I'm not saying it's the best thing for us.
It's an extra,
Yeah, it's just an extra
like you're arguing it's just
source.
one extra way to pay money.
I mean, you could argue, look, I'm with you, but if I was to play devil's advocate, I could say that Mercedes-Benz Stadium might not be half as cool as it is without $320 million investment from Mercedes-Benz. But on the flip side of that, if Mercedes-Benz didn't do it, some other huge brand would do it. So who knows? It's not for schmucks and peasants like us to discuss the dealings of trillionaires.
We're close to being billionaires, so we could put our input on this type of thing, but we're not there yet.
Help us become a billionaire by signing up at 10ishpod.com/plus.
There he is. Now, originally named after the Bengals founder Paul Brown, the stadium is instead currently sponsored by Paycor, probably another financial institution.
Great.
And it's located on 22 acres outside of Cincinnati, and the stadium is nicknamed the Jungle. Now, Nick's favorite band...
That's a good nickname, though.
Yeah, it is. See, like what? It should just be called the Jungle. Or
well, people
Jungle
do
Stadium.
call it the Jungle, but it's still got to be sponsored, and this is just where we are.
The Guns N' Roses song, which is Nick's favorite band, Welcome to the Jungle, is the team's official anthem and is played at every game.
Remind me not to go to a Cincinnati game.
Again, imagine living in Cincinnati, not being a football fan. The construction of the Bengals Stadium was funded by taxpayers to the tune of $600 million, the largest public subsidy for an NFL stadium at that time. The
Wow.
Bengals threatened to leave Cincinnati if the city did not agree to pay for the stadium. In 2011, the Wall Street Journal described this deal as lopsided in favor and risky for taxpayers. Since then, additional
Fuck the
costs and
taxpayers.
upgrades have been imposed on taxpayers in the area. By one estimate, taxpayers in the area have now paid $1.1 billion.
Goddamn.
And you can't even win a goddamn championship.
They got close. Didn't you say the stadium cost $600 million?
Yeah, but it's cost an extra $500 million since in upgrades and maintenance. So if you live in Cincinnati, if you didn't know your taxes were going to that, I apologize to be the bearer of bad news.
Well, time to leave Cincinnati. You can't even win a Super Bowl. What?
Get this shit. They make the taxpayers of Cincinnati pay $1 billion for their stadium, but they don't serve their NFL players any dinner.
They don't? Not even a shitty dinner? They get nothing?
The Bengals do not provide dinner to any of their players. They also do not provide any vitamins, and they're the only NFL team that currently does not provide any health supplements.
Wow.
They're like,
That's
fuck
like-
you.
That's like 101 in owning a football team. You got to keep your players healthy and fed.
Yeah, you want some extra vitamin C's, a multivitamin? Nope. Sorry. Broke the budget. We're basically spending $500 million on God knows what.
Wow.
But
Damn.
we're not feeding you dinner. Go out to McDonald's, you bitch.
I'm surprised by that.
Players feel like they have some of the smallest tubs in the league, comparing their experiences at other teams.
Back to the damn tubs. I mean, I get it. Hey,
Make
tubs
the
are...
tub bigger.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, no one appreciates
come
a
on.
quality tub than me, but like the fact that these tubs are tiny and I think one team quoted it as gross, that's a problem, fam.
You know,
Got to take
they
care of those tubs.
They painstakingly designed every inch of that stadium to be
Right.
cool, architecturally sound, and they got to the tubs and they were like, make them small.
No, they're like, buy the cheap like plastic porcelain
Yeah.
tubs at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Those
Yeah,
tubs
it's-
you can find at Fleet Farm and Atwoods and shit that you
Yeah.
wash hogs off in. Yeah, that's what we're gonna put the players in.
It's like a big like gray, what is that material? Like aluminum tub.
You're right.
They just have like a wagon without the wheels on it, and they put a little water in there.
Bengals players also report that the showers have a hard time with hot water and the toilets do not consistently work.
Okay, that's a problem. Like for anyone in this episode, you might be going back. Listeners might be going back and forth on like feeling bad for the players or understanding the ownership decisions. Like, well, the players are millionaires. Like they could probably upgrade their own room, stuff like that. But this is almost a core basic human right. You need hot water out of your shower, and you need toilets to work. I mean, think of the shits that some of these NFL players are taking. That's bullshit right there. Which team is this? This is the Bengals still, right?
Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
And they're the only team that does not have any charging devices available in their locker room.
Oh my God! Just keeps getting worse and worse. That
Yeah.
might, this is number 6 too. Number 1's got to be like, you
So,
fucking
yeah,
got to
you might
pay
be-
to park your car when you go to work.
You might be thinking, why aren't they the worst? Their ranking was buoyed because they love their support staff. They love their trainers. They love their coaches. They feel like they get
Okay.
really good individualized health care.
Well, that's
But they
something,
don't
I
give them
guess.
vitamins. And if you want some protein powder, you're shit out of luck.
Shit out of luck. In a few
Um,
years, the Cincinnati Bengals players will be like scrawny little nerds that weigh like 120 pounds.
The last note is that many Bengals players also report that their wives, who are new mothers, had to breastfeed on the floor of the public bathrooms because they offer no daycare and no family space.
I mean, not right.
So we're left with the worst 2 teams in the NFL. The worst
yeah,
2.
all right.
Okay. Kyler Murray is the quarterback.
Don't fucking know his ass. Give me a hint on like the mascot. Is it an animal?
The mascot is an animal
The Bears.
that is found all over America. It's very small. I don't know that it's actually located where this team plays, though. It's a very small animal.
Is there a mice team? The New York City
No.
Mice?
This animal is barely bigger than a mouse, though.
There's no squirrels.
No
What
squirrels.
What animal?
It flies.
Oh, cardinal?
Cardinals.
I said them earlier. Okay, the Cardinals, number 2.
Yeah, I didn't give it to you though because you were trying to guess a different one.
So what is that? That's not.
I make people work
That's
for it, Nick. I'm not in the business of handouts.
well, depends on what you're handing out. Am I right?
Number 2, Cardinals number 2. Arizona. State Farm Stadium. Jake from State Farm is a multi-purpose retractable roof stadium in Glendale, Arizona, and hosts the annual Fiesta Bowl. The stadium opened in 2006.
Why do you think most teams are named after a city? The Cincinnati Bengals, the Los Angeles Rams, the Atlanta Falcons. Why did Arizona choose this state? Same with Minnesota.
You know, that's true, and I kind of like that because then you're very inclusive of fans all over the region.
Yeah, I agree, but I wonder why there's a difference there, but it doesn't matter.
Well, considering that the people in charge of all these decisions will shortchange the players on their tubs or force them to have roommates, I mean, when it comes to naming the team, they probably did such a botched bullshit job on that too. They didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
So it was originally called the University of Phoenix Stadium. Boy, that's awesome. But they later...
God damn, Buster. We got lots of University of Phoenix graduates listening to us right now, and you're shitting on them.
It's a football stadium. Come on. And it has nothing to do with Cardinals. But now, since 2018, it's the fucking State Farm Insurance Stadium.
Love it.
Why is this number 2? Not a single Arizona Cardinal player thought that the owner, Michael Bidwill, is willing to invest or respond to their disagreements with the facilities or the player care. Nobody feels invested in.
We should rename Michael Bigwell to Michael Big Unwell.
Michael Bitchwell. More like it.
I guarantee you the players call him that behind his back.
Cardinals also have the worst ranked weight room, 32 out of 32 teams. And some of them feel it's a safety hazard where parts of the wood floor are peeling up. If players want dinner, it will be boxed up for them, but players are not allowed to eat dinner at the club.
Really?
And
why?
If you take a dinner takeout with you, they take it out of your paycheck. They're the only team that does this.
Why can't you eat there?
Can you imagine deducting from a $900,000 salary a $5 burger?
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's like $1.30 or something.
I know.
I mean, in the grand scheme for that player, who gives a shit? But like, there's the principle of the matter, right? It's like
It comes down to the principle, the small things. Players reported that if you work out at the facility when the season is over, the team charges you for every workout and every meal.
Are you kidding me?
Only team that does that.
Why? There can't be. They're not hurting for money. Surely they got this huge stadium. That the stadium generates revenue. The team generates revenue. They have merchandise. Like there's no shortage. It's mind blowing. But hey, that's why we're doing this list.
They love their travel. Every player gets a first class laying down seat.
Okay, no,
so
that's a big
why
plus.
They'll do that. But they don't. They charge their paycheck when they want a takeout dinner. Like what? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So that's the Cardinals. That I think they really feel undervalued by their owner, some of the training staff, and I think the food stuff really kind of irks them. So and the weight room.
It's so basic. Yeah. I agree. What do you have the year that the stadium was built or finished? Wonder how old it is.
2006.
That's not that old. For a stadium. Yeah. Okay. Number 1, I have a guess before you give any hints. Is number 1 the Pittsburgh Steelers?
It is not, but it's up there close. It's in the Northeast.
So it's not New York. Oh, it's Philadelphia, the Eagles.
Not the Eagles. Nope. They recently had a name change because their old name used to be problematic.
Oh, so it was the Redskins. What are they now? The Commanders, maybe? Is that the
Washington Commanders.
Okay.
FedEx Field. In the 1990s, Washington football team owner Jack Kent Cooke was seeking to build a new stadium because he wanted to make more money.
Oh, yeah.
The stadium was built in Landover, Maryland, apparently in the middle of nowhere, so they had to make a special exit 16 to Arena Drive, which was built off Interstate 495. Get this. This is kind of sad, but also kind of funny. Jack Cooke named the site Raljan after his sons Ralph and John. Makes sense.
Okay.
Registering Raljan with the United States Postal Service as a legitimate zip code 20785. And going to some links to require the media to use Raljan in datelines from the stadium and in the press. However, Jack Cooke died a few months before the opening of the new stadium.
Oh, God.
And his sons named the stadium Jack Kent Cooke Stadium in his honor. However, a few years later, Daniel Snyder buys the team and says, fuck your legacy, and sold the rights to FedEx in 1995.
You got to. FedEx, man, they got plenty of money to come name your stadium.
I don't care if your dad created a brand new zip code, a brand new interstate exit, just for you, boys. I'm going to buy the stadium from you, and I know you named it after your father who passed away and never got to see his vision come to fruition, but I'm selling this bitch to FedEx. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
The dad kind of deserves it for such a shitty name as Raljon.
Raljon.
I know I know the point of the name, which is admirable, but come on. Let's name it John.
In addition to players ranking this the worst team in the NFL for its workplace conditions, fans who come to the stadium also widely regard it as the worst NFL experience.
Oh, so even the fans in attendance hate the stadium.
Fans think it's shitty. It needs to be updated, and it just was poorly planned.
And on top of the shitty stadium for the fans, the shitty stadium for the players, the players ranking this the number one worst team to work for in the NFL, and your team sucks. And you had the controversy over the name and so there's a lot working against it.
Yep. Same thing here. Zero. None of the players who responded thought that their owner, Dan Snyder, was willing to invest in them or their facilities or respond to their plight. Players were significantly more concerned with every area of the facility than other teams. They also were one of the only teams in the NFL that had an understaffed training room. They don't employ enough personal and physical trainers.
Yeah, I've heard similar complaints from some of my Sidekick hosts. That's something we're going to work on in 24. More physical trainers.
Commanders players report they have the smallest tubs in the NFL. Again with the tubs.
This is the fourth team we've talked about tubs. I did not expect this.
Why do you have to give them such small tubs?
Can't answer it, bub. Tubs is something I'd go all in on price if it was me.
Commanders players report a lack of warm water in the showers and poor drainage, often reporting standing water while taking a shower.
Can't do that, man. You can't do that.
They require young or new players on the team to have roommates, and they do not offer any sort of first-class seat or extra leg room for their players.
You know, the owners of these teams are skipping out on basic things like we've talked about the whole episode, but there is something to be said about the fact that if your team felt more appreciated and they didn't have standing water in their showers, that team might be more motivated to play at their absolute best and win you some Super Bowls. They can only look at the dollars and cents on an accounting sheet.
If you line up 100 NFL players, they all have the same exact skill level. They all have the same exact 40 time. They all know their routes the same. What's going to make a difference to push them that extra inch? Well, maybe it's the fact that when they come to work 7 days a week, they feel valued, taken care of. Their significant other has a comfortable, warm place to go. Their kids have a place to hang out and play during the game or after it. They are given vitamins and supplements, and they've got a tub they don't have to squeeze their ass in. And it's like when they take a shit, the toilet flushes. It's like these things seem trivial, but God, they must add up to the player's experience of feeling valued, just like any of us who go to work and have to think whether or not we're valued by our workplace.
Yeah. And what you left out of your research, though, is the woman who had to breastfeed on the floor of the public bathroom. She requested that. She wanted to do that.
That's how much she hates her team. You know, like her husband is a Dallas Cowboy, but she's a 49er through and through. So she's so sticking it to him.
There are people that do stupid, spiteful shit like that over the team that they love. Okay, the Commanders, number one. Anything else on them?
Nope, that's it. So real quick, I want to mention the team that was the highest, if for those who are curious, what was the best ranked team? And that would be the Minnesota Vikings. 100% of the players feel like their owner is willing to spend money to upgrade their facilities, to give them personal assessments, and to take care of them each individually. This facility was recently built and considered state-of-the-art. Put this in the show notes. Also do a Google image search for the Viking Stadium in Minneapolis. It's wild. It looks super neat. They offer...
Do you think that that's what they wrote on the blueprints when they were designing the stadium? Make it look super neat. It does look super neat, though. You weren't wrong.
Inside and outside. They offer a family room. Go figure. They offer a daycare 7 days a week. Go figure. They have a post-game gathering area for friends, family, and people who are there on behalf of the players. Go figure. They have highly rated food. They provide 3 meals a day. 100% of players say that there's enough room to spread out in the cafeteria. The weight room is new and well-maintained. 100% of players feel like they have enough strength coaches. They feel like they get good personalized care and that their injuries are well taken care of. 100% of players believe they have an individual fitness and betterment plan. 100% of players think that there is enough room in the locker room, the steam, the sauna. 100% of players feel like they have enough tub space. And imagine that. Their toilets work. There's no standing water. They have hot water. And players feel that all of the training staff goes above and beyond to support them and adds to their success. There are no complaints. No complaints.
So it sounds like you want to work for the Vikings, except you won't ever win a Super Bowl, is the problem.
You may not win the Super Bowl. No.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy. Their lowest category, I'm looking through all their data. Their lowest thing is only 95% of players feel like they have enough room on the plane to spread out.
Only 95%. So that's like one person spoke up and said, you know what? I need 2 seats to lay back when I'm sleeping for this 30-minute flight to Green Bay. That's pretty good, though. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to put in an application today to be a quarterback for the Vikings. Wish me luck.
And it just goes to show, like, you don't need extra financing. You don't need to rely on taxpayers. You don't have to win Super Bowls to make everyone feel appreciated, valued, and to want to come to work. It's not like all of the teams on the list for horrible working conditions were all Super Bowl winners as well. You know, it's random.
Like, if there's any correlations here, it's not where it's based or how many Super Bowls you've won. I think there's a direct correlation with how big an asshole your ownership and head staff is.
Right.
I think that's what it is. All right, take me back through the top 10.
Top 10, which is actually the worst 10 teams for workplace conditions. That be number 10, Atlanta Falcons. Number 9, New England Patriots. Number 8, LA Rams. Number 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 6, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 3, LA Chargers. Number 2, Arizona Cardinals. And number 1, the worst team for workplace conditions in the NFL is the Washington Commanders.
You know what's weird? 6 out of the 10 teams on this list have a B or a C name. Buccaneers, Bengals, Chiefs, Chargers, Cardinals, Commanders. There it is.
The top 4 are C.
The higher up in the alphabet you are, the worse your conditions are, apparently. Well, Buster, this is a great list. Thank you. And just for fun, who's winning the Super Bowl this weekend? Note, listeners, that as we're recording this, we don't even know the 2 teams playing in the Super Bowl. So this is a prediction based on the playoffs.
We're recording a few days prior to the divisional round playoff games. So I'm going to predict in the Super Bowl, we've got the San Francisco 49ers versus Baltimore Ravens.
Interesting. I don't care really or watch football, but I do follow the standings, and I'm rooting for the Lions because I would love a first ever team to make it there.
I'm rooting for the Lions as well. I love Dan Campbell energy. I love the harmony of the teams on. When they panned to the fans in Detroit at Ford Field last weekend, and many people in the stadium were crying because it was the first time a playoff game had been won in Detroit in over 30 years. How can you not get behind that?
Yeah, unless you hate Lions.
I don't know if they have what it takes to get past the 49ers, though. So we'll see.
The listeners have already seen. So they're either laughing at us, or nodding along with us as we record. Or as they listen, I should say. But Buster, we got to end this thing. Thank you for bringing this list. It was Super Bowl-rific.
There you go.
Thanks for listening. I hope everyone will I hope everyone remembers to join us on our live stream for episode 250. It's 2 weeks from the date this episode is released. It's Wednesday night, February 21st on YouTube. Make plans to be there. Buster, you got a big ass. I'll see you next time. I think that's a good spot to end. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.